get your rocks off. That's right, I said you're all soft. So I paint over the scene like I'm Bob Ross. Jump.
Hello everyone, Scott here with the latest edition of the Pillow Talk podcast, and we have the Stronger Together series today where we support local businesses, good causes and charities. And I'm really pleased to have Derek Dunlop with me today from Derek Dunlop Photography. He's an Ayrshire wedding photographer. Now, I've known Derek for many years, so it's actually nice to be in this side because he's normally directing me from the other side of the camera. So it's nice for me to feel comfortable for a change and be leading it. So Derek has done lots and lots of work for myself personally and Pillow over the years. So Derek, why don't you introduce yourself and the business?
Hi Scott, how are you doing? Thanks very much for inviting us along to this. Yeah, my name is Derek Dunlop from Derek Dunlop Photography, and I am a wedding photographer, portrait photographer and business branding photographer. I've been in the business late 2018 and business is growing from that, and I just love meeting people and bringing out the best in them. You know, I love it. Good
Perfect.
Fun.
So you stick to, it says Ayrshire wedding photographer on your website, but you mentioned a few other things there. Why don't you tell us? Business branding was quite interesting as well.
Yeah, when I first started, Scott, and when I first started into the wedding business, and I'd photographed my brother-in-law's like about 8 years ago, and I decided then to go and practice the craft. So meeting up with models, getting comfortable, being the other side of the camera, taking pictures of people. So that kind of evolved into like more portraits and fashion, and working with different magazines, and then went from meeting businesses, and I've been recently being in part of the West Coast Accelerator.
Yep.
So that's when I got into meeting other businesses and seeing an opportunity for helping businesses when they were struggling, getting their photographs taken. But all of that in the process of being a wedding photographer, because I greatly believe like wedding photography is a mixture of like so many genes, or genres, of photography. You've got portraits, you've got family group shots, you've got your candid photojournalism, and you've got all the time constraints. So I truly believe to be a specialist at wedding photography, you need to be a master at everything else.
Well, we were chatting last week before this,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought wedding photography must be one of the hardest and most intense, because if you're doing my headshots, then Scott, you've messed that up, Scott, do another pose, or we'll come back another day. But with wedding photography, you can't make any mistakes, you need to capture those images. So I think if I was a photographer, my last choice would be wedding, because there must be a lot of pressure on you, because the bride and groom and the family are employing you for that, but you need to get it right on the day. So in my eyes, doing headshots and other things isn't as hard or as much pressure as a wedding photography. So is that a lot of pressure on the day?
Oh yeah, there's pressure in wedding photography is unbelievable, and it's just one of these industries where a lot of people, where I could have, when I photographed my brother-in-law's, and I could have got 3 weddings from that, but I decided no, because it's the whole directing people. And everybody, if you're looking at the camera, you're going to be asking your photographer for direction. Mm-hmm. So to be good at that is all about being creative and building that confidence with people.
Yep.
But with wedding photography, yeah, the pressure is big on that. But if you've got all your arsenal of information and knowing how to use lighting, mm-hmm. natural lighting, going into any place whatsoever, and bringing out the best in them as well, so and doing it quickly. And I thrive on the quickness as well,
nice.
And the pressure of it, and just knowing that I can go into any situation and do it, but just hoping my cameras work, or you always have a backup and things as well.
Batteries photography, that's something you've always wanted to do for like a young age, or did you discover that in your teens? Or?
No, Scott, like back in school I always loved art, it was always my drawings and art. And like, you used to go down the mall, and like there was a wee camera shop down the bottom, and used to look at the camera prices and go, wow, that would be amazing to get into. It was really wildlife at the very beginning, like David Attenborough, and I really was interested in that at the beginning. But portraits as well, when you look through magazines, you're like, that looks really smart, how do you do that? And it's one of these things where you pick up a camera, and you go through that thing called the Donald-Kruger effect, where, oh, I know everything, I can do this.
It's brilliant, that psychology, Dunning-Kruger. Put it up on the screen, the Dunning-Kruger effect, exactly as you said.
Aye,
Brilliant,
and you, like, most people don't, like, if you can, you've got to get out of that, you've got to realise that, oh, I need to learn a lot more of this. And the thing is with photography, if you truly think that you know everything, or if you go out and take the best pictures, this is the best I can do, then you're not going to be, you think you've not learned enough. Or, what's another way to put that, sorry, do you know, like you think you're the best at that, and yeah, there's always learning when it comes, it's lifetime learning.
Well, behind the scenes, our videographer Johnny has we'll get fancy cameras there, so I would never ever look at that and think, I've tried to do it. We get these cameras for estate agency photography, weddings photography, but so many buttons. I'm definitely not an expert, but the Dunning-Kruger effect comes into play when you give people iPhones, because it's like, well, do I need a photographer? Because my iPhone does some of it, but how have you seen things change from, obviously, iPhone cameras are pretty good for the amateur, but the difference between serious tech like you use and Johnny does behind the scenes, and then people just taking pictures and thinking they're experts.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's like stick a filter on it and call it art, isn't it? Put it black and white and call it art, you know. But truly the photography starts before you even take the picture, you know, and understanding your client, and then growing with that, and then when invoking an emotion, and then what happens in between that. That's when the secret sauce happens. Once you can start taking, once you get to that knowledge, because you start to get to yourself, you level up to about here, and then like, as long as you can go and, like, I can go into a wedding and get my shots that I need, and then after that, then I can work on maybe getting some extra special shots for the clients, if that's what they're looking for.
Nice. I'm going to say that despite the bar setup we have here, guys, this definitely isn't whiskey. For those of you old enough to remember the I Am Jolly sketches, if you believe me or not that this is whiskey, in the next 10 minutes the situation may transform. We may be dancing at the table with our tops off, so you'll be able to determine whether this is whiskey or not by the end of this. So, if people had to search photographer or wedding photographer into Google, probably lots of choice would come up, and people will have decisions to make. Why should people pick Derek and the Dunlop photography over the other people that might be there? What's your brand of photography that the client might love more than somebody else?
That's a great question, Scott. No, I really think people need to look at the wide range of photography skills that the person has. A lot of people, if they just specialise in weddings, that they've just solely been photographing weddings, but where is the practice outlive that?
Yep.
Because trust me, 100% wedding photographers, we all practice at weddings, but whereas I've done the years of practice prior hand, meeting up with people, getting people feeling comfortable, which is a part of it, and obviously getting people feeling comfortable when they're getting their group shots or getting a couple shots. Whereas I've put that whole word of posing, but it's just a bit of direction to make people look better in front of the camera as well. Even though they're obviously stunning, but getting them in nice lighting and doing that. So it's just a good range, and make sure you go past page 1 and Google as well, because there's that many really good photographers, and it's not just looking at page 1 as well. Look at how long the person's been doing it for. It doesn't mean that if someone's been doing this for 10, 20 years and they're good at photography. Always think if you're looking for somebody 10, 20 years, then they really should be working for big companies. Do you know, because you want to still be developing I'm always want to be growing. I don't want to just be doing the same. I always want to be growing in my business. That's why I love not just the weddings and get into like business branding, or maybe sometime working for a big company for doing like a fashion brand and stuff, which is developed through my experience as well.
Nice. Well, you mentioned posing and bringing people out of themselves. You've done some stuff for me, or we'll splice in some of the. Well, we did really professional ones where we were dressed smart for some marketing literature and awards things that we were going for. So we can put those up to show. It was in this building, so we were using the natural backgrounds of our office here.
And having good fun with it, wasn't
we were having good fun, but I'll also put up the ones where it started going a bit crazy. We jumped to a local castle. I was running about with a Scotland flag because we were doing some promotional stuff for the US and our US lodge. So we got a bit crazy and arty. Running a bit.
Sons of Scotland, I am William Wallace.
William Wallace is 7 feet tall.
Yes, I've heard. Kills men by the hundred. And if he were here, he'd consume the English with fireballs from his eyes and bolts of lightning from his eyes.
And that was without the whiskey.
that was without the whiskey, so we'll probably put some of those up. I cringe at them actually. The professional one's fine, but running about a castle with a Scottish flag, shouting freedom, was a bit out of my comfort zones, but it worked fantastically well for the intended audience, which was earlier in the year we went over to Florida to launch in Miami. So.
And see when you were talking about that as well, Scott, see when like we're doing a wedding, when people were getting their picture taken and they get their family all looking towards and they get their cameras, so again the pressure's really on. Do you know, that's why it's always good just getting a wee bit of solo work with the photographer to make people feel comfortable. You know? So apart from me on top of a castle topless, what's your favourite types of shoot that you've done? Yeah, well, I've had a few over the years I've been doing this, but one was when I'd been approached by a makeup artist, and that it was a bit of a promotion, and it was up in Glasgow somewhere, and it was with a model, makeup artist, hairstylist, and a kind of clothing brand, a Scottish clothing brand, so it was a bit of self-promotion, and it was a full day, and we absolutely nailed it that day. It was just so much fun and everybody worked together so well, and it wasn't just the one magazine. I think we got into front cover of a magazine plus another 2 magazines, which was different, so we went from one style of shoot to 2 different styles. Nice. It was because we all worked together and we just got really creative with it. Then naturally I was bringing in the off-camera flash, and it's just one of these things where a photographer that I follow since the beginning, do you know, I need to give him credit for that, is Jerry Dionis. If anybody never knows this person, he's been voted one of the top 5 wedding photographers in the world.
Nice.
Been doing the training since training, he's been the longest person ever doing teaching. This guy started the trends in wedding photography, like some of the pictures that you would see getting, like, people copy all the time.
Yep.
This guy started the trends.
Nice.
And when I noticed what he was doing with this flash and how he was doing things, that's when I realised that this guy knows his stuff.
So you mentioned one of your inspirations started some trends. If you had to start a Derek Dunlop trend, what would your trend be? I see your website, all I see in your social media is beautiful models down the beach, because we've got some beautiful beaches down here in Ayrshire. What would your trend be when it's sunny? What would your trend be if you had to start something or change the way the photography industry or a specific subset of the wedding industry works?
Getting back to basics, but sometimes the basics is the most complex. You know, getting it right in camera and getting the pictures where it's you would see the image, and that's what makes the image, instead of putting all the filters and a lot of post-production.
Yep.
And one thing out there, I have no problems with post-production or Photoshop and stuff, but I always prefer to really get my images right in camera. And it's quite hard to, when you look at my images, it's quite hard to get that, not the style of images where, when you look at someone's images, and it's not the style as in the colour, but when you look at someone's images and you can go, oh, do you know, I know that photographer, do you know, and that's where I'm aiming at, and a lot of people has noticed that when you see my work, you can distinguish that it's my work, not to do with the colour, but it's just to do with the original images.
Because I remember when we first spoke to get to do our business stuff, I was surprised that you took photos and didn't do any like Photoshop. So you're going to take the background, but you're not going to start putting clouds in or out. So I wasn't shocked at that. I thought, oh well, I thought that's what all photographers did. Is like, right, I'll take your image, I'll make your nose a little bit smaller because it's massive Scott. I'll do that. I'll change the shadows, but you just take the image that you take, essentially a little bit of post production, but you're not heavily editing pictures.
No.
Surprised me, not shocked, but surprised.
I think a lot of people think it's a lot of post production and stuff with editing, and there is a lot of process that I'm doing with it. But when it comes to all of that and changing different skies and things and the photo manipulation, I think that's more of the digital art. But a photographer is, well, as the word says, painting with light. So it's instead of me out with a pencil, it's my vision and me seeing the image. Yeah, and it's the same with like off-camera flash. It's me envisioning the image and thinking, wait, I'm going to put this lighting over here, and then creating the image, which is lovely.
So I think photography is going to be a lot more mainstream, as we mentioned earlier. Big cameras, lots of equipment, lots of expensive, intimidating gear. With photography being more accessible, and some people, they're probably doing college courses on it, and iPhones, you got online courses. If you had any tips for aspiring photographers that would maybe like to take it from being a hobby to a career, what's some advice to young aspiring photographers?
Well, if people living in Ayrshire, it's always looking to at West Coast Accelerator, where I'm part of, which is Sir Tom Hunter's Accelerator programme. Yeah. And if you want to be an inspiring photographer, the craft matters, definitely the craft matters, but spending time on how to market yourself and the business side is about building that team together as well on different businesses, and then getting some different, so you can get some different leads. But there's more art and business than what there is in photography. Funny enough, it really is,
Again, there's many people. When we first met at one of Sir Tom Hunter's accelerator programs, a business accelerator program, West Coast Accelerator, taken when we first started Pillow, we new businesses, they get lots of support. But with that, there's many people that have amazing skills, but they've not monetised it, or they can't. So the advice you gave there, that you could be an aspiring photographer and be amazing at taking pictures, but if you want to do that as a business rather than a hobby, you are going to need some business skills. It's not enough just to say, "Hi, I'm an amazing photographer," and people will come and use me. You're going to need to have all your business skills, marketing, and get everything in place.
Yeah, your SEO, be a master at Canva, and do everything like that. But really, another way is connecting with people. Really, if you're getting into photography, and especially people in general, weddings, it's all about being comfortable and networking. And that takes different forms. It's just a case of getting out there and meeting people. Another thing that I'm going to be doing in the future is really going over and talking to people in the street and taking their picture. And
you got arrested for that? Do you know?
No. I think it's legal. No, go and talking to people. Maybe some, and that's another way for pushing your business as well. There might be the kind of ideal clients out there as well, so it's just going talking to people, or maybe going, if there's dog photography, if you want to get into dog photography, there's plenty of dog walkers. Networking is key, and getting out there and keep going, keep going at it.
So talking about networking, one of the reasons we do these Stronger Together podcasts is to promote small businesses. Myself and Pillow and the team are all very passionate about giving people exposure, whether it's businesses or charities. So if our audience are watching now, I want you guys to go away and take action and help either use Derek if you're local, or pass on leads and referrals for Derek. We want to get business. It's a nice chat, it's good to catch up.
Yeah, for sure.
But we're here to promote small businesses, and we want to get you some business. So if the audience are watching and think, I like Derek, I'm going to get him some business, what would the ideal referral be for you? Would it be a wedding, a business headshot, somebody like me in Talker Castle or Sunset Topless? I know you like that one, you keep talking about that being your favourite, but what type of business would you like the audience to get you?
Really, I'm looking at different companies out there, big companies, for maybe like a fashion brand, and really everybody really is my ideal client out there. So it's just somebody who can maybe push me forward with a different bigger brand, because that's a kind of stepping stone for future leads. I've got a few things in the pipeline with people, and just kind of pushing out there, but it's always good connecting with other people, and hopefully things can lead on to that.
So talking about networking, when you go to networking, you stand up to do your 60 seconds. They always say don't be vague, be very specific. So think of a couple of big brands that do you need introductions to people. So we're in Ayrshire, so like the director of Commandant Football Club to take their pictures, something like that. A wedding venue or something. What's some specifics that you would like us to look out for?
For specifics, I know it's a tricky one, isn't it, when you say the 60 second, the chat that we've got to do, your pitches is kind of tricky one, especially when you get cameras on you as well, isn't it, Scott?
You should be used to that.
Oh, used to it, I'm getting used to it.
Would you, what capacity, and we record this in August,
I suppose,
what capacity for weddings do you have?
Do you know, like a kilt company, like a kilt company, that's looking to like for pictures for their
Yeah, I
account.
remember one of our staff members was young handsome guy, and you must have taken pictures of him in a kilt before.
Yes, it was
Was
actually.
Stephen?
Was that?
Was Stephen?
Stephen
Yeah,
and,
one of our
and
staff.
Stephen and Andrew.
Yeah.
It was actually Andrew that pulled me to the side when he'd worked in the wedding industry, and he pulled me to the side and said, "Derek, are you not running this as a business?" And I'm like, no, I'm not ready yet.
Yeah.
I was never ready. Do you know that way that you're never ready to maybe go in front of the camera, you're never ready to push your business forward? I was just out practicing
Yeah.
and learning the craft, and I was never at that stage until Andrew just drew it out me, and he was talking about the West Coast Accelerator, and that just led on to where I am today. Do you know, just and the many companies that I've worked with, or the people that I've met through the time, it's just always growing and growing, Scott. So I thank West Coast and Andrew and
Sure.
yourself. do you
Well,
know?
that's a nice wrap up there. But definitely Johnny, put these pictures up of what we did with the kills, because they were amazing pictures. It's like world class pictures, and I saw them. Like, that's a world class, and must be some big. But it was Stephen in our office. It was one of my staff members. So you're transforming people, and just those pictures were amazing. So guys, as always, I want to go and take action. If we can get like 10 new shoots for you, and everyone, please go support small businesses. And thank you very much
You're
for your
welcome,
time.
thank
Sir. It was a
you.
pleasure. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Thanks.
Y'all thinking I'ma fall off? I'm Thomas the Engine. 2 seconds, you get your rocks off. That's right, I said you're all soft. So I paint over the scene like I'm Bob Ross. Jump.